In a likely historic announcement, the Smithsonian and NOAA just announced a first-of-its-kind national ocean biodiversity strategy aimed at saving all marine life. Welcome back to Tea of the Sea, and this 18-page document calls for a stronger, more unified, and inclusive approach to ocean conservation. This was announced early last week by the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and is aimed at taking action to preserve most, if not all, marine life, and subsequently, all life on the planet. Which is probably a good thing, because the oceans provide the ability for life to exist as we know it. Almost half of the oxygen that we breathe comes from the ocean. We get our fresh water from the ocean. We get billions of dollars worth of food from the ocean. It's very important that we keep our oceans alive. And if you ask me, it's not just the United States, but it's the world that has been doing an awful job at taking steps necessary to protect the oceans, its biodiversity, and its ability to keep us alive. And while there has been some important steps in the last several years aimed at preserving ocean biodiversity, I think that this plan actually is a very significant step because of what it's planning to do. Specifically, this strategy is looking to deal with biodiversity loss in the oceans, not just by going to local stakeholders, it's also going to include indigenous stakeholders, which is very important. Because indigenous groups learned thousands of years ago how to live alongside nature while being able to take from it without destroying it. Versus today, with everything being for profit and the bottom line, all we do is take, and we don't do nearly enough to let nature replenish so we can continue to take in the long term. And alongside humanity destroying the oceans, it's also other things that are unfortunately driven by humanity, like climate change, that are causing more and more biodiversity loss. This new strategy has a 3-step plan to overcome these obstacles, while also establishing and coordinating a new research network that's actually based on evidence. Step 1 is coordinating research and conservation efforts across the United States, including federal agencies, state agencies, tribal groups, and local communities. Specifically, this process will prioritize the documentation of economic and cultural values of the oceans so we fully understand the costs of a degrading ocean ecosystem so we can use that to make the correct decisions. After this process, step 2 is NOAA and the Smithsonian strengthening the information pipeline. Basically, they're going to use all this data and make it open access so everyone who has a stake in ocean conservation has the same data. This process will also include revamping taxonomy, as well as utilizing eDNA satellites and AI to gather even more data. And then, once all of that is done, step 3 calls for protecting, conserving, restoring, and sustaining all ocean biodiversity. The success of this strategy hinges on everyone, from tribal communities to NGOs, private stakeholders, local communities, recreational and commercial fisheries, everyone coming together and working together for the same goal of protecting ocean diversity so we can continue to sustain ourselves off of it. And a lot of that is going to come from listening sessions and long-term meetings designed so everyone knows where they stand and what is necessary from other groups in order to succeed the strategy's goals. Of course, this is just the strategy proposed. There still needs to be an implementation process, and that is evidently coming soon. According to Emmett Duffy, who helped come up with this strategy, this is likely our best chance at protecting ocean biodiversity. And on a personal level, I agree. This is probably our best chance, and likely one of our last chances, to come up with a plan to actually save our declining oceans. Like I said at the beginning, our ability to survive hinges on our ability to keep our oceans healthy. Without ocean ecosystems, biodiversity, and the oceanic food web, we will not be able to survive the way we've been surviving. Life came from the oceans, and if we do not do our part to protect where life came, life will cease to exist.